Yes, bara almost yes kuliki Barotseland agreement 1964. Kaubai mkopano no hanisizwe kimuso. Bade bakuhanisa cholo bantu mapokola. Nebaize mungundu wakwasanya bantu mwali mulunga akakulizani tomo. Ngato abantu ne bahorofezi ni makezo halo yeo mane kwabekwa kuntu wa bantu bababe. Mamula hwanzeo batu abagata nabatamilwe kwa Mungu mane hamo chwalo ni masibaka sali mulunga yona mulene ngomutuna walitungala hose batu hana batamilwe chwalo mapokola ni wasika yemera 4 ne bazo ezipili kuzuma batu kutama bane bakupula kaufera kuli nebanda ni bulelo wakuya kwa mkopano ko kapali walitende kwa mkopano ko yomo mwi obatu bana batamilwe kamko chwalo kigwa muna muhuru wo maximum balilimo the 92 pamunzi wasilele mwa sina bona bayotamelo amamunzi wabona ili faso bakasabona mwandu yabona bana nibasali babona banze batalinezi mibangiwa kwisiwa kwa Lusaka banga tabakaho kula kuli maximum nele muna wali business masina kana kwa yeye muko ndiko bamuyembeli wandu yamilao yemela batu basinje mbela mwandu yamilao ya Zambia ane maximum utiloba ngambela akapaena binyolo kana ko ya puso imuta kwandu iluteyeta mwabunde.
I am Samuel Naungamba Kalimukwa. I am 62 years old. I was born in a local village in a Chief Kandalas area in Mungu district. My mother's village is in Kapani. Currently, I am at Liambai Training College where I am lecturing. Before I went to Liambai, I was working in the Ministry of Education as a teacher. I retired in 2004. Right now, I am 18th February 2011. I was surprised when I was visited by Mungu. Went with them there. They asked me some questions. I was interrogated to find my role, what I had played, what I have done concerning Linyungandambo, concerning the issues of Barotseland. I told them openly that I was the secretary of Linyungandambo. And our intention was to sensitize the people of Barotseland so that they could know that they had a nation, they had a country, they were a nation also. They had their identity as people of Barotseland, not as Zambians. I told them openly. Now, they were not very satisfied. They referred what I had said to their officers in Mungu, commanding officer, and some officers of the OP. I was locked in cells, Mungu, from around 11 hours. I was there without any food, without any drink, without anything. Until around 20 hours. It's when I was caught. To my surprise, I was just asked to jump into a vehicle. I was not told where we were going. I was guarded by 6 armed policemen, as if I was a dangerous criminal. Yet I was armless, I was defenseless, I had nothing on me. But I was headed into the vehicle. I was driven throughout the night from Mungu. Then I realized I was being taken to Lusaka. We reached to Lusaka around 4 a.m. in the morning. I was taken at SAFE's headquarters, which was known as Force Headquarters. Around 8 hours or 9 hours, senior police officers came to interrogate me. I was taken up the offices, in one of the offices, where I was confronted by 4 or 5 commissioners of police, but they were wearing plain clothes. They were also very inquisitive. They wanted to know my roles. To my surprise, I was even shown the letters which I had written, which Linyungandambo had circulated to the public. They wanted to know if I had actually written the letters. I admitted that I had written them, and that the letters had been authorized by our committee. They also wanted to know what our intention was. I told them that our intention was to liberate Barotseland, because Barotseland right now we feel it was illegally being occupied by Zambia. Because what was supposed to link Barotseland to Zambia was the Barotseland Agreement. But that agreement had been abrogated by Zambia. So we were just wondering why Zambia still continued to occupy us. We feel we should now set our own government. I told them openly. They showed me even posters which were confiscated from here, asking me whether I admitted what was written there. I said I agreed with whatever was written there, absolutely perfect. Because what was written on one of the posters was in Linyungandambo, Barotseland is our country, and we don't want to be ruled by Zambians. Seeking freedom is not treason. They asked me whether I agreed with that statement. I told them absolutely. I stood for that, and the Linyungandambo stood for that. And the seeking freedom is not reasonable anywhere in the world. Seeking freedom is a right of every person. And if I say I want independence, no one should question it. They asked me whether I was a Zambian. I told them openly that I was not a Zambian. I was a Barotseland national. They asked me why. I told them that since I was born in 1949, in Barotseland, not in Zambia. Zambia was just established in 1964. So by birth, I am a Barotseland national. Maybe I can be a Zambian by registration. Then I can even renounce Zambian registration if I don't want. But there's no way I can renounce Barotseland nationality. I am a Barotseland national in blood throughout until I die. So I was further again asked questions. They told me to say, even advising me. So it's better you leave this case with the BRE. The BRE currently was having negotiations with the government. So why can't you just leave the BRE and the government resolve the issue? I told them that BRE, as far as they were concerned, was illegal. It was unconstitutional. It was unworkable. BRE is appearing nowhere on the Barotseland Agreement. BRE was just a creation, an invention of Kaunda, where he wanted to manipulate the Itunga. And the same BRE is used by Pia Banda to manipulate Ruvosi without us. Now me, speaking on behalf of Barotseland, I'm appearing there on the document of Barotseland Agreement as people of Barotseland. So I am entitled to speak for Barotseland, and every Barotseland national is entitled to speak for Barotseland. BRE is just fictitious. We don't accept it. There's Vemba Royal Establishment, there's Visa Royal Establishment, both are BRE, so they have to be specific. BRE is irrelevant. Maybe they should talk about Mulonga. Now our Mulonga, if ever we count on it, we cannot expect our Mulonga to liberate us. We are the people of Barotseland who should liberate ourselves. They further wanted to know if I was ever involved in the organization of the 14th January meeting, that abortive meeting which led to bloodshed and a lot of problems. I told them that I was not there since that meeting was organized by citizens of Barotseland. It was not written by Linyungandambo, but the letter to the police was written by citizens of Barotseland who were concerned to talk about the issues of their country. Now surprisingly, when people gathered to talk about the issues of their country, they were spared by the police, leading to death and unnecessary suffering. That much I told them it was not necessary. They even asked me to say we should caution our youth not to become violent. But I told them that our youth are not violent. In fact, the youth of Barotseland are the most disciplined and well-cultured youth in the world. They become violent only when they are provoked. When they meet, they want to discuss their issues, concerning their issues. Now someone comes to expect them to throw a tear gas. What do you expect? They turn violent also. Not that our youth become violent. No, they don't start any violence. But the police, Zambian police, they provoke them. So we are sick and tired of this Zambian occupation. We feel our country is being occupied by Zambia illegally. And we are going ahead to see to it that we are going to liberate our country. I was detained. I lost my freedom, my liberty, for a total number of 3 days and 3 nights. I was locked, I was a prisoner. And I was just thrown out. At the end, I was told I should just go, I should just come back to Barotseland. Without any explanation, I was simply told the DPP had decided you are to be released on insufficient evidence. I also wondered, how could I be released on insufficient evidence with all the documents which I had admitted, which I had written, all the banners, everything which I had said. Someone says released on insufficient evidence. What evidence would be sufficient? They just say, just go, you are troubling us, we just want you to go. So I further demanded to see the 22 Barotse nationals who were arrested. I wanted to meet them. I was told, no, in no way, you are not going to meet them, you are just going. Then I told them, well, now since I'm going, how will I travel to Mungu? You are the people who brought me all the way from Mungu. Now I expect you to give me transport back to my place, so that my family sees you handing me back to them. They said, no, we have no transport, just go. They just refused entirely. If I hadn't relatives in Osaka, I was going to suffer. But somehow, I contacted my relatives in Osaka who provided transport money, and I was back on Monday. Now, my view with regard to Barotseland and Zambia, we just feel that Barotseland and Zambia's relationship is no longer tenable. It can no longer be maintained by anyone, especially Barotse people. We feel sick and tired. We have to manage our country now. Whatever happens, Barotseland should be re-established as it had been all along. Because the history had been hidden from the young people. Now the history is coming out. People should know that there was a country called Barotseland, and there was a country called Northern Rhodesia, which came into coexistence, cohabitation, not coming from one country, no, but simply coexistence in 1964. And the document which established this coexistence was the Barotseland Agreement. Now the same Barotseland Agreement again was abrogated, nullified, and rubbished by the Zambian government. Now, how do we feel we are part and parcel of Zambia? We are not. So let us just manage our affairs and liberate our country. Thank you very much. Anyway, during my detention by the police, they handled me quite well, very well. No one touched me, no one threatened me, no one intimidated me. They didn't even torture me because I had set the conditions beforehand. When I was taken to the police station, I told them that I was a big man. I was supposed to be attended to in a civilized and mature manner. They all accepted that one. Even when I was taken to Osaka, they just treated me very well. I was not tortured in any way. But I had lost my freedom for 3 days and 3 nights.
Hallelujah. Lula pele. Luina misa lipata zaluna kuwena munga bupiro kayo na hola ye yoru bizize kudokopana nibashemi baluna mwaliluko nililuko lelizi mwabulozi wena Jesu Kristo no bulezi kuli fomuka bulera kaofera zandati nina nikabateni mwahalamina chale munga bupiro lubulera zandati aluna yena nyambe yanazibirwe kibashemi baluna kuzwerera kwa makalero bombuyo wa mwambwa kwa lusonera kwirubize wena nyambe kakulikiwe na mutano waluna kupoka ufera ya bulozi izwerera mwamazoho asinkandi sahao chale mga bupero hawezi mwahala aluna sapele lusonera kwenyaza walusikaeza hande kakwe mga bupero nikana kwe lusababaza nikububeka livizo la